So if you could just tell me the story, I'm just going to let you talk, and then at some point I'll ask you some additional questions based on what you tell me, okay?
Okay. Actually, I can't start there. I can't start in 1965 because there were a lot of things that led up to Martin Luther King coming to Selma, Alabama, because of all of the prejudice and the cruelty that was being done to people of color, blacks. At that time, we were colored.
Well,
our family had, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, go ahead and start where you would like to start.
Well, our family came off of a plantation. That's where we were basically raised up on a white man's plantation. And we were mistreated there, beaten, and my father was treated like a boy, called a boy, all of his time that we were there. And we lived on the plantation in Mr. Charlie, that's what we called it, Mr. Charlie's house. And Daddy had, like, at that time, Daddy had 9 headed children that could actually work in the field. But at the end of every year, Daddy owed him. Daddy never did get ahead. And there was prejudice. Mr. Charlie would beat us right in front of our daddy. They'd beat our daddy right in front of us. But they never did beat our sisters or our mama. They would have our sister and mama up to their house or out in the barn or anywhere they wanted them. So we were in slavery, but the white man and the black woman was never in slavery. They were always free. And so my father, A.C. Munford, one year he just packed all of us up and slipped us away in the night and carried us away from there. And we were running and running, trying to keep the people from finding us. And we settled in Mountain Brook, Alabama. And we left Mountain Brook and went to Kimberly, Alabama. And from Kimberly, we went to Selma. And actually, we thought Selma was a better place for us to live, and Selma was worse. They burned our house down. 2 of my cousins were burned up in the house. That's when we were living in 5 Point, where 5 roads came together. They called it 5 Point. And I was coming from the store one night myself, and some white fellas caught me and knocked me down and put a rope around my neck, and they were going to hang me, but some other cars came down the road and they ran off. So I've actually had a rope around my neck to be hung. And we couldn't find any leftovers from my 2 cousins that was burned up because the house burned to the ground and their bodies just burned up. We could smell the flesh burning. So it's a lot that, for a person to go through and not be scarred for life emotionally and I guess physically too. But ever since I was about 10 or 12 years old, I started reading the Bible. And I think that's the only thing that really got me through a whole lot of stuff that happened in our lives. They would come and break in our house and throw rocks and lit bottles of kerosene. They call them Molotov. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I know.
Molotov cocktails. They would throw them in the window and set our house on fire. And it was just hard, and there was no way for us to get a decent job. Even when we got up almost like old enough to get a job, we could get a job cleaning up the white man's yard or something like that, cutting his yard with his power mowers. We didn't know nothing about all that kind of stuff because we didn't have that kind of stuff. And it got so bad around Selma, Alabama, till we couldn't even walk the street. We couldn't even walk the street hardly in the daytime. We couldn't go uptown because there was always somebody lurking to kill the black boy or to do something to him. And so we started protesting and sitting there and stuff, and a lot of blacks around Selma, Alabama got killed. A lot of our kinfolks was killed. And some of them we never found. We didn't find some of their bodies, like the two that were burned and some more. And it affected me. But because of the spiritual part of me, I guess it didn't affect me like it did a whole lot of others, because some of the young men around there committed suicide and stuff like that, and ran away. Some shot themselves in the head. Just, it was just bad.
Now, you just said something that I have not thought about that much when you said a lot of the boys committed suicide. There was an impression at one point that black people didn't commit suicide.
Oh, so yes, they did. Those young men did. And 2 or 3 young women did it also.
Really?
Yeah, in Selma. And there was prejudice in the stores and prejudice in the schools. Prejudice just to walk the street. You couldn't walk the street by yourself because somebody would jump you and beat you up or kill you. So it was 4 of us brothers, and we would always travel together.
Well, that reminds me of, I know this is your story, but you're hitting some buttons here. We had a lot of boys our family name was Smart, in the Smart family, and one day, cousin Sinkum, as they call him.
You're from Alabama?
No, from Georgia, but we did have family that went to Alabama.
I went to school with a young man named Smart.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's his name?
His last name was Smart.
Oh, yeah. We were Smart.
He was a little small God fellow.
Yeah, that fits the description. They weren't small. I mean, they were tiny, skinny.
Yeah, he wasn't
tall.
He wasn't no big old fellow.
Yeah, he was skinny and tall. I mean, the family are skinny and tall from what we see in pictures and from what we know.
I'm trying to think of his first name, but I can't. It won't come to me.
Well, anyway, they're from Estelle, South Carolina, north of Beaufort, around that area. And one of the cousins they brought him home on the back of a wagon and dumped him off. And the first thing Uncle Sammy said was, told that boy not to go up there by himself.
Yeah.
That was the thing that did him in. He had to go settle that problem or go wherever he went by himself, and he knew he wasn't supposed to do that.
Yeah, we would go uptown Selma, 5 or 6 of us, and actually, I guess we were looking for trouble. And we usually found it. And we would cross the Pettis Bridge and go on the other side, over in the area where the blacks would hang out in a place called the Bottom. And they also had a bottom on the south side where the blacks would hang out, but the whites would come down in there and shoot at them, run at them in the car, try to run them over, and all that kind of stuff. So we went through that too.
Wow. And there is no consequences that happened for any of that at all?
Oh no, they would get the black boys and put them in jail. I sent them to Birmingham to the juvenile school, but they didn't do anything to the white boys.
So, how did you get from experiencing that to actually being a part of the march, and what was that like? Well,
first thing I did was early in I don't know what year it was, but early, my mother was working at a bakery, and early in my life, before I even turned 18 years old, Mother sent me out of there to New York. Sent me to Brockport, New York. And I was working on a farm up there, and I would send her money. And when I left there, we went to Milwaukee. It was like, going from farm to farm. And the way I wound up in Florida is we came to so silly. We came to a local part of Florida up near Jacksonville. Can't call the name of it right now. And that's when I first came to Florida. And that was in 1958.
And how old were you at that time?
Well, I'm 72 now.
Oh, okay.
So
that's a lot. Okay.
I was probably around 17.
Okay.
17 or 18, something like that. Might have been. I don't even think I was 17 yet. Might have been 16 or 17.
Okay. All right. And then what happened?
Well, I came to Florida and ran into some of the same stuff down here. I'm still in Florida, but it wasn't as bad as it was because I only stayed here like 4 years in the beginning, and I went into the Army in 1962, and things were not all that well in the Army either, because it was black and white in the Army. As far as privileges, as far as promotions, as far as treatment, and all of that, it was the same, even though you was under the government, like I say, whatnot, but you could still see how obvious and open it was. And when they got ready to do the march in 1963, I had gotten married in Florida, and I had a daughter born June 18th, 1963, and I took a leave from the Army to come home for her birth, and that's why I couldn't go in August to the March on Washington.
Oh, I see.
But in 1965, when we heard about the march in Selma, I was able to get off, and the Army actually sent 5 of us back to be a part of the march without charging us with leave, paid us through it and everything, because we were all from Selma, Alabama.
Why would they do that?
We requested to go, and they let us go.
That is, to me, that's interesting, that they knew where you were going, and they still allowed you to go.
And they told us not to broadcast the fact that don't wear any Army clothes or anything like that while we were out, and don't broadcast the fact that we were even soldiers.
Now, your superiors at that time, were they black or white?
Ma'am?
Your superior in the Army at that time, were they black or white?
We had both, black and white.
Well, what I'm getting at is, did the people that let you go to the march, were they black or were they white or were they both?
They were white. The company commander was white and the first sergeant was white.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
They allowed us to go, and they didn't dock us pay or leave time or anything. We were only supposed to be gone like 3 days, but it took us 5 days on the march. So I think we were going about 17 days or something like that.
Were there any consequences when you got back?
They didn't dock us. They did not dock us. Because they followed it in the news. It was top national news, international news.
Wow.
And we saw a lot of killing as we were crossing the Pettis Bridge. They killed a lady that was from upstate named Miss Dubose. They ran over her with a bulldozer because she laid down in front of to keep them from blocking the march, and they just ran over her.
You saw that?
Yes, ma'am. And all along the march, the police and the sheriffs and all of the counties and whatnot, they were alerted, and there was officers and police with us the whole way. We couldn't go out into the bathroom out into the woods to stand to relieve ourselves or anything. The men, the black boys and men, they would come out there and beat you. And when you got to another town, they would put you in jail, or they put you in the car and take you to jail for exposing yourself. They didn't bother the women.
Oh.
And the only time we could eat was when we got to like a little black church along the road. We could use the bathroom, eat, and get water. They wouldn't. We had long gone out of water that we had brought for ourselves, and they wouldn't allow Dr. King and Abernathy and those. They wouldn't allow them to bring a water thing along, any kind of vehicle, so that we could have water and food. They wouldn't allow it. So it took us 5 days to get from Selma to the Capitol steps in Montgomery.
And when you reached there or arrived there, what was that like?
We were all tuckered out, and the only time we had a chance to try to put a little water on us. I always had my toothbrush and toothpaste with me, and some soap and a towel, and I would always go in the bathroom, and you had to the water that was in there was like water just standing in there, and the tub was a bucket or something for you to wash yourself up or to wash your hands in. Wasn't like the toilets that we have now. So I would go in there and wash myself and dab myself and put some deodorant on and brush my teeth. But so we were all tired and stank and bushed out and everything. And first thing Dr. King did was put all of us around the steps, and they were all out there with guns and stuff and holding them on us like we were criminals. And Dr. King spoke first. Dr. Abernathy said something, and then Dr. King spoke. And we stayed around the Capitol building for 2 days. And a lot of people had relief to come and get them, to take them back to Selma, and a lot of them, I don't know how a bunch of them got back. I don't think anybody walked back, but they made reservations for people to get back home.
Wow.
Our Uncle James Pap Smiley, he came and got us.
Now, when you said us, who all were with you?
He came and got the boys that was with me.
And who were they?
Oh, Lord. One boy named was Scott. One boy name was White. Dubose. And one name was Taylor.
Okay, those
Charles
are all
Taylor.
Okay.
Charles Taylor. Willie Dubose. What did I say the other name was?
Scott.
White. Scott, yeah. Oh, Lord. I can't call his first name right now. His name might have been Charles, too. Charles Scott, because he played basketball with us.
Okay.
And the other boy's name was White.
Mm-hmm.
Dozier or something. It was something with a D.
Okay. So, throughout that process, what happened to fear? What kind of emotions were you feeling?
We were afraid the whole time. Because whenever one of the officers looked your way or walked your way, you don't know what he was going to say or do. You don't know if they're going to shoot you, hit you, knock you down, kick you, or what. So it was always, we were on like pins and needles the whole way.
Mm. And how do you feel that's affected you
to this day? I mean, are you fearless now because of having gone through that, or are you have battle wounds? I'm not sure.
No, I don't have it. I spent 13 months in Vietnam. I don't have any battle wounds from there. I have battle wounds, but I don't have any emotional. I don't have anything emotional going on.
Okay.
Because I'm a born again Christian and I'm a Bible thumper believer, and that's where I get my strength from. And I've been preaching the gospel. I actually been preaching the gospel since 1966.
And how did that come about? What led you to do that?
I was called by God to do it.
Now, I've not asked anybody this question before, so what does that really mean when you say you were called? How did that manifest itself in your life? How did you know?
It manifested itself in my life because I tried to do everything but that. I tried to do everything but preach. I went out and formed up spiritual groups and sang and everything and all that, and I was a spokesperson for the group, but that wasn't what God called me to do. He called me to preach.
And so when you decided to preach, that just fit. I mean, what was that? I know this sounds like a crazy question coming from me to you because you lived it, but I hear people say that all the time. But what does it feel like? How did it happen? How did you know?
I knew because I couldn't do anything else right.
Okay.
I couldn't do anything successfully. I couldn't touch anything that would, per se, turn to gold. I didn't have the Midas touch. But then once I accepted the call and started doing what God wanted me to do, such a calm, such a peace, a surrounding, different folks, it was just a settling in me. Okay. I wasn't afraid of anything or anybody, but I was always aware. I was always cautious, but I had no fear.
Okay. Thank you for humoring me on that, because I understand what you just said, and you know, I'm a spiritual person too. I believe in God with all my heart. But you know, you never know if this is it or if it's not or whatever. I asked because I had an opportunity. You seem I like your spirit from what I hear, so that's why I took an opportunity to ask on a personal basis. So,
well, even though I am who I am in the Lord, somebody may walk up and throw me away just to look at me. I have no fear of it. One time I was preaching at a church I was pastoring in Dunedin, and this man walked in the door with a rifle and just pointed the rifle, and all my members hit the floor. And I'm standing there preaching, and he pointed the rifle around the church, and then he said, "Oh, no, I'm in the wrong church."
Oh, my goodness.
He left and went right down the street about a block to the left of the church and killed 2 people sitting in service.
Oh, my goodness.
His ex-wife and her boyfriend, he blew them away sitting in service.
Oh, wow.
So I've seen some stuff.
Yeah.
And I probably haven't mentioned half of it to you.
Amazing. So what do you think about where the country is now, what the environment is like now compared to what you've been through? What do you see things that are familiar or unfamiliar? What are you feeling at this point?
Well, I'm probably going to blow you away. I don't look at the government and all that too much now. I don't tune into the president's weekly message or his state of the nation or whatever that thing is he does. I don't do it. I'm interested in, I have a passion for God and a passion for people, but I come up on the other side. I come up on the spiritual side of it. I just can't get involved in politics and all that because that'll pull me away from the vision that I have in the ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of pastors are preaching politics and president and all that stuff from the pulpit, but I just can't do it.
Neither for nor against. Just you have a higher calling, and that's what you're
I'm like, our ministry is a helpful ministry. We ship clothes. We've been shipping clothes to Haiti ever since they were in turmoil over there. And we feed the hungry. We reach out into the community. We feed the hungry like every Saturday. We take out sandwiches, and then we bring a group into the church. But so anywhere from 75 to 100 people every other Saturday here, and we get grocery, pack grocery for them. Get it from the, Sweet Bee and Publix and stuff like that. And
now, do you actually go to Haiti?
We have a representative that goes. She's a Haitian girl.
Uh-huh.
And we sent like 9 big bales of clothes over there last month. And right now she has broken her leg. She's laid up.
No.
But it take like $100 a bale to send it. And it's like cotton, like if you ever remember what a cotton bale of cotton looks like.
I do, and actually I got some cotton that was just brought back from Georgia for me. I mean, I literally have it right now.
Lord have mercy. Well, that's what those bales are about. Yay high, and they're real wide and round, and we have to pack them a certain way or they won't take it.
Oh, okay. All right. The reason I ask is that I know of a farmer that is looking for a humanitarian effort where farming is actually involved. But I was just curious.
That's what we did after Daddy left home. Our father left home, and the children got spread about. I got spread up to my granddaddy Papa's house, and he had 48 acres.
Mhm.
He lived to be 109 years old.
Wow.
And God, I preached my granddaddy's funeral at 109 years old.
Mm.
I preached him in Gaye. He had 48 acres. He had called it Baptist Mountain, and he built a little church on top of his mountain, and a funeral home up there for a graveyard for the family to be buried in.
And that was in Alabama?
Hayden, Alabama. Hayden, called Hayden's Corner.
Mhm.
One of the last places you pass before you head for Tennessee.
Wow, okay. All right.
About 48 miles on the other side of Birmingham.
Okay. Now, is there anything else I may have not asked you, but that you feel like needs to be told?
Well, there's a whole. What you say your name is? I'm sorry.
Ersula. It's Ersula.
It's Ersula. It's just so much, and it's some of it's real clear, and some of it is tangled up. And I've chosen to forget a whole lot.
Mm.
I've chosen to forget a whole lot. If not, I probably would have some emotional scars.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
But I just thank God for right now and where He has me and where He has brought me from.
I understand. Okay, well, thank you so very much. But let me make sure that I have the proper spelling of your name and church. Let me just open up the document and do it. Okay, your name?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Reverend.
It's Dr. Aaron Munford.
Okay, Dr.
Aaron.
Aaron.
Yes, ma'am. Last name is Munford, Munford, and I put my highest doctorate behind that, which is PhD. Doctor of Theology.
Is it M-U-M or M-U-N?
M-U-N, Mun.
Okay.
Munford.
Okay. Did you have a relative that go to Eckerd College?
Dolores Munford? I have no my side of the Munford family. I have nobody here except my children.
Okay. Well, I think she was out of Atlanta, but
Did she spell M-U-N?
I think so.
Because there's some Munfords up in the Dade City area. John Munford and all them, they're M-U-N just like I am, but no relation to me.
Okay.
Unless we haven't done the research.
Well, that could be, because even when somebody spells their name differently, it does not mean that they're not related, because sometimes they spell my family name, my grandmother's married name, Stevens or Stepphens, and, it's still the same person.
Well, they used to think that I was, matter of fact, I was told, the young man that used to play for Miami Dolphins, Lloyd Munford, I was told that he was related to me, but he spelled his name Munphord.
Yeah, but that could be because that's how somebody said it to him, and
I
that's how he wrote
it. I was told that he was a cousin.
Yeah. And my grandmother, I was named for my grandmother, Ersula, and somebody put in the census record, Ernestine. Now, that doesn't sound anything like Ersula. But anyway.
I do have two historical points I could tell you.
Oh, what's that?
Marvin Gaye was my first cousin.
Marvin Gaye?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
His name originally was Marvin Smiley.
Oh.
Buried his mother 3 years ago. Aunt Jane, Roselee Smiley, that was his mother. That was my mother's sister. And my mother's name was Lily Mae Parks. So Rosa Parks was our great aunt by marriage.
Rosa Parks?
Yes, ma'am. She's our great aunt by marriage.
Which means that her husband was actually biologically related to
my mother.
Okay. And
because
your mother?
She was born as a McCally.
McCally?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, there's some McCallies that came from Effingham County, Georgia.
She was born in Tuskegee, Alabama.
Oh, okay.
And she was raised up on a plantation called Pinewood or Pineview Plantation until her mother and father left that plantation.
Okay.
So that's historical.
All right.
That's the historical part of me.
Mm-hmm. Well, you are history. I mean, your story is a part of history. I mean, it is part of our American history. So, from the moment you started talking, that began your history.
Well, I don't think I got 72 years into you today.
Huh?
I said, I don't think I got 72 years into you today.
No, you didn't, but you certainly got a lot of good information in that I totally appreciate. And if I think of something else, could I possibly call you back, or otherwise I'll write it up and submit it to
Miss Ersula, you can edit it. You can call me anytime.
Okay. Well,
this is my number. This is my only number, and I'm usually somewhere around unless I leave the phone somewhere.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I've totally enjoyed talking to you.
You did get the name of my church, Exciting New Harmony
That's right.
Missionary Baptist Church.
What is it again?
Exciting New Harmony, MB Church, Incorporated, 2811 North 17th Street.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, and you have a blessed day, and I totally appreciate talking to you.
I'm praying for you, and you're welcome to visit anytime.
Thank you. And you just might look up one day and see me.
God bless you. God love you.
God bless you, too.